B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Bruchim habayim to Baruch Hashem. A big simcha for all of you, for us as well, Baruch Hashem. The amazing holy wedding of two tzaddikim, Baruch Hashem, Uzziah Ovadia and his kala Naomi. Shekadosh Baruch Hu yivarech otchem bekol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, gmilut chasadim, zera sheikayma. And all the brachot of the yeshiot of the Torah, Bezrat Hashem. You have a lot of atzlacha. You both have gone through an extraordinary journey that, Baruch Hashem, we've had the zchut to have a small part of. And it's amazing to see you over there. So, ashrechem v'ashrech lekechem. You're continuing the trend of a shiur Torah wedding. The next thing you know, that's what they're going to have at weddings everywhere. So, Baruch Hashem, it wasn't that long ago that we were here in the same place for doing another wonderful wedding, Baruch Hashem, for other Talmidim that we had, Baruch Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem we continue. So tonight's shiur will be for the atzlacha of the Chatan and the Kala. Also for the atzlacha of the Brit Milah of the Tinok ben Liora. And also refuah shlema to Liora, Kadosh Baruch Hu yivarech ota. Refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. Also for a refuah shlema for Esther bat Zipora, David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Michal bat Yael, Orit bat Ilana, and also for a atzlacha rabba for Shaul ben Farzaneh, Marsha bat Julie, Ayla bat Marsha, Samuel ben Marsha, Alexander ben Marsha, and all of Am Yisrael, B'ezrat Hashem. Oh, and also a refuah shlema to all of Cholei Israel, local and overseas, and a zivug agun, and atzlacha for our very dear friend, Talmid, and Yedid Nefesh, Netanel Yosef ben Avraham Avinu, and Reuven Chaim ben Pala Parel. Kadosh Baruch Hu yivarech otchem bekol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, v'gmilut chasadim. So, we typically have a shiur on Sunday nights, on Tuesday nights, and on Wednesday nights, different topics. And we have a couple of series that we do on Sundays and Tuesdays. One of them is the Chazon Ish, Emunah v'Bitachon, and we also do a Ikvita the Mashiach, an era of Mashiach shiur on Tuesdays. Oh, and also refuah shlema for Shmuel ben Dvorah. Kadosh Baruch Hu yivarech oto yitel refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. So we do different shiurim on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We do them online, Baruch Hashem. We have a large outreach all over the world. We also try to do our best to help the needy. Just this, Baruch Hashem, this Purim, we raised enough money to feed a little over 320 families in Eretz Yisrael, Avrechim. So somewhere around a few thousand people for Purim. So Baruch Hashem, we're doing a lot of different things. But no matter what we do, we see that the world continues and marriage issues continue. People having tough times getting married, people having tough times staying married. And I wanted to discuss something that perhaps is the opposite of what we've all learned throughout our life, because we live in a Facebook generation where everything you do, you have to take a picture and show the whole world. You go to a good restaurant, before you take a bite, make sure to take a picture and put it on Facebook. Just to make sure that everybody knows you're able to pay for an expensive meal. So everybody does a lot of different things to show and tell, but there's a concept that's actually not just in Judaism, but you'd actually also find it in different religions. And it's emet la'amita. And there is a concept of teachings in Judaism called Ayin Hara. And it's also not only Ayin Hara, Ra'at Ayin. So you have a Ayin Hara and Ayin Ra'a, which are two different things. to have a evil eye, or to have Ayin Ra'ah, it's a bad midah, it's a bad character trait. So for example, somebody sees that his colleague at work, another member of the minyan, just got a new house, and he says, can you believe that guy just got that house? Where did he steal that money from? Like, he had to steal the money. He couldn't work for it or like inherit it or anything else. He had to steal the money. That's a bad character trait. When people look at other people, they see that they're celebrating. He got a new car, he got a new job, he got a new wife, she got a new this, new that, new that. And people have this bad nature where they're not happy for other people. This, aside from being a terrible character trait, also brings a curse on the people that are actually doing it to other people. But there's something that's even more familiar to people, which is Ayin Ra'ah. Ayin Ra'ah is in essence, looking at something with that you could even look at yourself. Not just looking at somebody that you don't like, but perhaps even look at somebody you like. But not only somebody you like, somebody that you love. And not only somebody that you love more than anybody else, which is yourself. And you can actually even give evil eye to yourself. Now, the teaching itself is very deep and dense. We're going to go over a couple of small things so you guys have a little bit of food for thought. But one of the things that we learn from the Chachamim and the Gemara and other places is that it's very dangerous, not just bad idea, but it's very dangerous to talk about the issues that a Chatan and Kala have at home with other people, which is really normal day-to-day conversation that most people have. How are you doing? How are you doing? How's your husband? How's your husband? How's your wife? How's your wife? And then they start talking about how's the wife and how's the husband. This, the Chachamim say, terrible idea. Why? You got married to him, not to your girlfriends. The issues that you have with your husband are for your husband alone to deal with. Not your girlfriend and your this friend and that friend. Why? The Sefer Hasidim brings about 800 years ago, saying that it's not only a terrible idea, but it's actually a trap. That a person will tell his friends about the good nature of his wife. Like this guy says, oh, my wife, what a tzadikah. All Shabbat she reads Tehillim. And not only that, she's the best chef in the world. And not only that, she's beautiful. And not only that, that guy just put Ayin Ra'ah on himself. Why? First and foremost, people are going to look at you and they're going to say, oh, look at all the good he has. I want that same good. So it's already common sense. I don't have to explain that part to you guys. But what's the worst part? The worst part is that he put a trap for his friend. Why? Because his friend, maybe he's married to a machshefa. He's married to a witch. He's married to somebody that says, machshefa lo techayeh. It says a witch should not live, the Torah says. A woman that all day, what she does, she throws shoes at him. She says, good morning, tach. Good afternoon, tach. You know, he's married to one of those women. He hears about your tzadikah. What does he want? He wants your tzadikah. So now, before he goes to sleep, he says, Shema Yisrael, but he's thinking about your wife. And whose fault is that? Your fault. Your fault. Now he's thinking about, you have a guy thinking about your wife. And in Judaism, it's a big no-no. Worse yet, girlfriends telling their each other about how wonderful their husband is. One of the worst ideas humanity has ever had. Why? She says, oh, my husband is such a tzaddik. He learns the daf yomi. He makes parnasah. He bought me flowers for Shabbat. Ishtabach shimo. I kiss the ground he walks on. And a girlfriend is thinking, you know what? If you're already kissing the ground he walks on, maybe I'll just kiss him instead. And she's thinking about your husband. Why is she thinking about your husband? Because her husband, he went on retirement the day they got married. She's thinking your husband is better than her husband. She's thinking about your husband now. And whose fault is that? You. You told her about your husband being so wonderful, and the grass is always greener on the other side. And that's what happens. And now you have a twofold curse that a person can easily bring to themselves. Number one, you have other people thinking about your most loved one. Your most prized possession is your spouse. Even your kids eventually grow up and have their own life. Remember, all of you were kids at some point, and now you have your own life. Your parents didn't really think you're going to have your own life when they, raised you and they were changing your diapers, but eventually it happened anyway. So everybody has their own life. So who stays with you? Your spouse. So your most prized possession is your spouse. And what ends up happening is that you're putting your spouse and the relationship you have with your spouse at risk every day when you talk about him or her to other people. So who should you talk to about your spouse? Each other. There's something called communication. It's a great idea for marriage. It's a big invention they made a long time ago. They said if you communicate to each other, you actually stay married. It's a big scam. A lot of people are doing it sometimes. But that's the thing. You got to talk to each other about each other. Not to other people. Not your girlfriends, not your boyfriends, not anybody else. Unless that other person is a professional, an expert that can help. If it's, let's say, for example, a rabbi, a rabbanit, a professional of some kind, then obviously you have the permission to talk about it, but again, as long as everything is in line with the Jewish law. But to just simply talk to your boyfriend, girlfriend, all these different people about your marriage is a horrible idea, because it mamash brings Ayin Hara to the people's house. And you have right now in Western society, over 80% of the marriages in America end up in a divorce. Meaning you have more of a chance of getting hit by a plane in the face than actually staying married past 5 years. That's how terrible the statistic is. So the point is, if people ask themselves, oh, I want to get married. Yeah, but why don't you get married? Take the rabbi's car, because maybe you get divorced anyway. So how do you avoid these things? You have to listen to the Chachamim. Chachamim didn't say things for no reason. Chachamim didn't just write something in the Gemara and say, you know what, this is a good idea, I want to put my name somewhere. The Torah, Rabotai Yekarim, also means ora'ah. It means advice. It means instructions. What's instructions? Instructions of how to succeed in life. How to succeed in life. But not just life in making a little bit of money, having a house, maybe a car or two and a few kids. No. Life meaning where you wake up in the morning, status quo, happy. A lot of people look for things to make them happy. That in itself is a mistake. Why? It's not possible to find happiness. Happiness is simply a state of being. It's a spiritual feeling that you have without any outside influence whatsoever. Nothing physical in the world can make you happy. Not a man, not a woman, not a child, not a car, not a house, not money, not anything else. The only thing that can make you happy is something spiritual. And the only thing that's true of spirituality is our holy Torah. Now how does the Torah make somebody happy? By fulfilling it, by following the mitzvot. But how do you fulfill the mitzvot? By first and foremost realizing that that Torah is an instruction set that I need, that you need, in order to attain this happiness everybody keeps chasing. This is the reason why you see a lot of beautiful people, physically beautiful people, end up in divorce, end up in all types of other problems. Why? Because they thought that she's going to make him happy. She thought he's going to make her happy. Everybody thought they're going to make happy because they look good. They might have some fun together. They laughed. They went to this. They did that. You figure it's going to make them happy. But they realize after some time that after a while it's boring. Why? There's nothing spiritual there. There's nothing spiritual there. So one of the most important things for a family to understand is that the Torah, both our written Torah and our oral Torah, was given to us as an instruction set in order for us to succeed. First and foremost, in succeeding, in attaining this happiness that everybody is trying to chase. But how do you attain this happiness without giving the creator of the world happiness? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, simultaneously, while you attain happiness, you're also going to make me happy. Why are you going to make me happy? Because you're going to only become happy if you follow the Torah. If you follow the Torah, your neshama is going to get its spiritual nourishment, and it's going to start feeling a pleasing feeling like no other. And by following this Torah, you're also pleasing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're giving nachat to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has feelings like us, happiness, sadness, but for the ear to understand what we're saying, that's the words that we use. So now, Rabotai, I want to give you a few things, food for thought, about Ayin Hara and how we have to treat it, because you'll find this whole teachings in general of Ayin Hara, even among the Muslims, even among the Christians, even among all types of religions. And it's not hocus pocus. You know, some people think that Ayin Hara is idol worship. It's wrong. Ayin Hara is not idol worship. It's a legitimate thing. It's a legitimate thing, and it actually does exist. And in fact, the Gemara says that the overwhelming majority of people, Hashem Yishmor, meaning 99 out of every 100 people that leave this world, die because of Ayin Hara. And only one because of natural causes. Evil eye is not something you just ignore. No, it's not for me. I didn't, No, we have different minagim. We have different customs. It's one of those things that exist. Whether you like it or you don't like it doesn't make a difference. Now, of course, you can treat Ayin Hara differently. Some people will say, listen, I understand there's Ayin Hara, but I'm not going to go look for every single thing and every single zgula to deal with it. You don't need to look for any zgulot. If you do everything I say today, well, really, in the name of the Chachamim, you don't need to do any zgulot. You don't need to have any hand hanging up on your ceiling or anything, put some marbles under your pillow, none of that stuff. But again, you have to follow it. Sometimes people want a short route. They want to go and give some Judaica store a few shekels so they can get a hand and put it on their wall. Maybe get an eye and put it on a different wall. Maybe get a fish, put it in the fridge until they eat it. A few different things. That stuff is babkis in comparison to the teachings of the Chachamim. Now, the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 55b, has a whole teachings about Ayin Hara. Now, one of the Amoraim who was traveling in a city said that he was afraid of Ayin Hara. He was afraid of Ayin Hara. Why are you afraid of Ayin Hara? He says, because when you're traveling, especially in those days, there's already danger. And anytime there's danger, already the chances of evil affecting you is already higher. That's why, Rabotai, every time on Yom Shishi, all of us do the, before the Kiddush, before we pray and everything, it says that a woman is at risk when she's at birth. Why? Because Shem Yishmor, if she didn't have, she wasn't careful with Nida, she wasn't careful with Tarat Mishpacha, and she wasn't careful with Adlakat of the Nerot, that's Sha'at Sakana. It's a moment of danger. So the point is that there are certain moments of danger that everybody has, and you have to be careful specifically. One of those moments of danger is traveling. So the Chacham said he was scared while he was traveling. Of what? Of evil eye. People say, oh, where'd you come from? Oh, that's a rich city. Oh, well, you're married. How many kids you have? Ayin Hara. What do you care? How many kids do I have? What are you trying to adopt them? What do you care if I'm married? You're looking for a wife? What do you care about all these things? People ask these questions all the time. Where are you from? What do you care? Were you looking to move? Are you a travel agent? Where'd you buy the house or you rent the house? What do you care if I bought the house or rent the house? What are you, a banker? What do you do for a living? Are you looking for a job? The people ask you all these silly questions, but in reality, the best thing you can do is not answer those questions. Why? Nothing good's going to come out of it. Most likely, Ayin Hara is going to come out of it. If you have a good job, you tell somebody, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. Automatically, the person that asked you is doing financial calculations. How much money does this guy make? Oh, this guy? Oh, what, surgeon? What, you're a spine surgeon? Oh, it's at least $800,000 a year. You know what? We're looking for somebody to come for a keilah. What do you mean? All of a sudden you want me to come to your keilah? I live in Texas. No, we need somebody here in New York. What do you care? People ask you questions like this. Best thing to do is not to answer. Answer them with something from the Torah. Answer them with something, you know what? Instead of what I do for a living, what parasha is it? Do you have any chidushim on this week's parasha? Why? Because nothing good's going to come out of telling people what you do for a living. Unless you're looking for clients, you're in a networking event. But if you go to a shul, you go to a wedding, you go to some type of event, and some random person asks you what you do, where do you live, how many kids you have, if you're married, if you're not, if you're this, best thing to do is not to answer those questions and change the subject. Why? Number one, Ayin Hara. Ayin Hara. And it happens often. And unfortunately, many times, especially people that are successful or looking to become successful, like to publicize their life. I just got a new job at Smith Barney, making X amount of money, I'm VP. They publicize it over the internet. 6 months later, Smith Barney goes bankrupt. And then they're surprised why. The reality is, it's better not to advertise these things. Why? Because even the Chachamim, Kodesh Kodashim, these are Chachamim that were able to resurrect the dead, just by their tefillah. They were scared. of Ayin Hara. So now the Chacham says, if you're scared of Ayin Hara, you could use a tactic. One tactic, aside from what we just said. Let him place his thumb on his left hand and the thumb of the left hand on the right hand, the thumb on the right of the right hand on the left hand, and say Ana Ploni Bar Ploni, meaning I am so and so, son of so and so, Mizarad Yosef de Katina. I come from the lineage of Yosef HaTzadik. Delo Shalta Be'ina Busha, which on him there's no evil eye has no power. Why does the Chachamim say you should use Yosef HaTzadik as the prime example of someone that Ayin Hara has no power over? Why didn't you use Avraham Avinu? You can't compare. Yitzchak, his father Yaakov. Why out of all of the people they picked Yosef? So the Gemara brings a pasuk. It says that when Yaakov blessed Yosef, and he also blessed his sons, he says, Ben Porat Yosef, Ben Porat Ayin. Charming is this, my son Yosef, charming is the son of the to the eye, meaning that Yosef was a beautiful man. But Chachamim say from there we learn, don't just pronounce it Ayin, that the word Ayin is he's charming to the eye, but rather Ayin, meaning that he is, because of his deeds, can overcome the Ayin Hara. Now, the Chachamim now debate and say, what's the source for this? Why him? Why not Yehuda? Why not Reuven? Why not Shimon? Why not Levi? Why Yosef? It says because he got a special blessing from his father to proliferate abundantly like the fish. Now, from that point, there's a lot of different teachings. Different Chachamim discuss this point. Why the fish? If you all remember, Parashat Noach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wasn't happy with the world and destroyed the whole world. People were immoral, they were wasting seed, they were cheating on their spouses, they were doing all types of filthy things, unfortunately not too different from today. But nonetheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had it, because not only did the people sin, but it got to the point where the animals sinned also. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed the world. Who didn't he destroy, aside from Noach and his family? The fish. The fish were the only creature he didn't destroy. Everyone else was destroyed. I mean, aside obviously from the animals that Noach saved. Everyone else was destroyed. How come? It says the fish didn't sin. The lion sinned, the zebra sinned, the giraffe sinned, all the other animals sinned. But the fish, kulam tzadikim. Kulam tzadikim. Why the fish kulam tzadikim? It says the fish are covered. They're all tzanua, they're all modest. They're all modest. They're covered by the water. They don't go with different species. The goldfish goes with goldfish. The whitefish goes with whitefish. The blue one goes with the blue. The shark stays among himself, or he eats you, one or the other, whichever one comes first. Bottom line is, the fish are modest. They're covered. And Yosef got the blessing to be like the fish. He says, as long as you, Yosef, you stay modest and you marry a modest woman, you're going to be like the fish. You're going to be blessed. You're going to be blessed. Why? Because as long as you stay modest, you're not going to sin with the worst sin in the Torah, with wasting seed, with Gilui Arayot, with all of these immorality crimes that we have in the Torah. And if you protect yourself there, you will have a special protection above everybody else in the world. So here we see that the reason why, even though you and I may not very well be from the lineage of Yosef, we may be from Yehuda, we may be from Reuven, we may be from Binyamin, we're not from Yosef. We have nothing to do with Yosef. Maybe one of you has something to do with Yosef. I know I'm not from Yosef, or at least I was told I'm not from Yosef. So how come I can use the verse here that says that I come from the descendants of Yosef? Because I could do the same things that Yosef did. I could do the same, take the same actions, protect modesty and morality and kedusha, just like Yosef did. So then the Gemara says, Then there's a person who is scared of giving evil eye to himself. He's not scared of other people asking him where does he live, what does he do. He's actually scared of giving evil eye to himself. How? He says, look, I'm doing great. Last year I barely made ends meet. This year I'm making $100,000 a month. And he says it out loud and he's happy with it, but then he says, oh wait, if I said it out loud, maybe I give myself evil eye. Next thing you know, he loses $20,000 in the market the next day. It's like, see, I gave myself evil eye. Oh no, he starts to worry. Starts to worry that maybe he gave himself evil eye. So the Gemara says that someone who's concerned of giving himself evil eye, first and foremost, should not talk bad about himself. Should not talk bad about himself, especially about his own sins or his own tzarot. Sometimes I meet people that they're really, really trying their best. They're trying to serve Hashem like the best people in the world. How do they introduce themselves? Hi, Rabbi, whatever. Listen, I'm such a sinner. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. By 5 minutes into it, this guy portrays himself as if he's the Malach HaMavet himself. In reality, he just told me his sins for the last 30 years. It didn't happen 5 minutes ago. But he's telling me about all the sins that he made his whole life in 5 minutes. Bad idea. Why is it a bad idea? Anytime you talk bad about yourself, first of all, if you're not continuing to make those sins, it's Lashon Hara about yourself. Second of all, by mentioning your sins, guess who's listening to the conversation? The Yetzer Hara is listening to the conversation. He says, look Hashem, look, this guy's a Rasha. He made a sin 35 years ago with this one. He made a sin with this one 2 years ago. He did this, he did this. And he's even proud of it. He's talking about it to somebody else. So that is in essence creating evil eye on yourself. Don't talk about your own sins to other people. You want to talk about sins, talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Unless you want to do tshuva for it. You want to talk to Rabbi, listen, I did this thing. How do I do tshuva for it? But to start talking about, your whole laundry list of different things you did in your life, not a good idea. Another interesting thing that we all did at least once in our life, you got a cold. What do you do as soon as you get a cold? Honey, I'm sick. Oh, I'm not coming in today, I'm sick. Right? You tell people, the whole world, even people that don't work with you. No, I didn't go to work today, I was sick. Oh, what do you have? Oh, I got a cough. Bad idea. Why bad idea? Gemara says, on the first day that he doesn't feel well, he shouldn't reveal to anybody. Why? Because there's still a chance that it may turn around, and by you mentioning it, you're calling the attention to this from Shamayim and say, you know what, he's sick. Yalla, let's go with it. Let's go with it. Shem Yishmael, give the guy corona. He only had a sneeze because he sneezed. Next thing you know, he tells the whole world that he feels sick, and he wasn't sick. He wasn't sick, Be'emet, but he gave himself evil eye. Gemara says he can create sickness for himself. So the Gemara says best ideas. First day a person doesn't feel well, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Second day, tell your enemies. First day, don't tell anybody. Second day, tell your enemies. Why tell your enemies? Why tell your enemies? Now, of course, you're going to tell your loved ones also. You live with them, you're friends with them. But tell your enemies also. Why your enemies? First day, don't tell anybody, because maybe it's not really sickness. Maybe you just got a little quick thing that's going to go away in a couple of hours. Why are you calling the attention from Shamayim to this issue? And maybe they're going to turn it into a sickness. That's first day. Second day is even more interesting. Second day, the guy is sick, doesn't feel good. Gemara says, go tell your loved ones and your enemies. Your loved ones, they're going to pray for you. That's what Rava, one of the Chachamim, used to do. Anytime he got sick, on the second day, he says, go tell my enemies and tell my lovers. Why? My loved ones, the ones that love me, they're going to pray for me. The ones that hate me, Be'ezrat Hashem, they get happy. They get happy that I'm sick. And I'm happy if they're happy if I'm sick. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us, anyone that's happy because you are down, all of the damage that you got goes on them, Hashem Yishmor. So let them be happy that I'm down, so it all goes on them, all my enemies. Go publicize it to them. So here we see, Rabotai, that Ayin hara is not just, oh, you're afraid that you'll lose and this and that. There's mamash, there's a way to use it. There's a way to use it in life. Now, the Sha'arei Teshuva, Rabbi Yonah, about 800 years ago, he was the family member, grandson of the Ramban. And he writes horrible things about women that don't walk around modest. Because he says that they cause other people to sin. A woman that walks around immodest causes men to sin, causes men to think about her, even if they're married to somebody else, or if she's married to somebody else. It says that the punishment for such a woman will not end until all of the people that fell for her get out of Gehenom. She won't get out. So it's a horrible situation. But there's another reason why the Sha'arei Teshuva brings this up. He says that when a woman is not modest, what is she doing in reality? She's doing the opposite of what the fish did. She's showing different things that she's not supposed to show. So she ends up bringing all the attention on herself, bringing all of the Ayin hara on herself. All of the Ayin hara in the world comes on her by default. She just walks around because she no arms, no legs. That's a Gemara term for a woman that doesn't cover her arms and legs, means no arms, no legs. She walks around no arms and legs. She thinks that she looks fine. She walks around in the street. She doesn't realize every step that she steps in the street, not only the guys are sinning, but she's bringing Ayin hara on herself. Why? Because everybody's looking at her. And what do you get when people look at you? Ayin hara. Ayin hara. So then she's surprised that her husband leaves her. She lost the job. She got this. She got that. It's not surprised. She brought it herself. So that's why it says, Kol kvoda bat melech pnima. All of the honor of a woman is hidden. Hidden like what? Like the fish. Be like the fish, hidden. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're covered by everything. And even after the water, they have the different rocks and so on that they live in. So that's why a woman has to be modest, not just for the sake of tzniut, not making sins, but also for the sake of mamash, avoiding Ayin hara. Avoiding Ayin hara. Even if she doesn't believe in all the things about the Torah says that's going to happen to someone that's not modest and so on, doesn't make a difference. Everybody, even the Muslims, believe in Ayin hara. Nobody wants Ayin hara. I had one time somebody call me, tell me, listen, I just came back from this Kabbalist. Those conversations are usually my favorite because it's only tragedy. I just came back from this Kabbalist and I wanted to double check if what he said is right. And I said, before you tell me what he said, how much did it cost you? He said, oh, how did you know it costs money? I said, well, usually when somebody tells me they call to a Kabbalist, it usually costs a lot of money. How much did it cost you? He said, only 15,000. I said, Ishtabach Shimo, definitely not right. She said, how do you know? I said, if no Kabbalist, it's a real Kabbalist, will ever charge you such a price. She said, how much is it supposed to charge if they're a real Kabbalist? She said, yeah. A real Kabbalist? Yeah. 0. That's the price. 0. Real Kabbalist doesn't care for money. She says, yeah, but can you tell me if it's going to work or not? I said, what did he tell you? What cost you 15,000? She said, a book. I said, what does the book say? She says, I don't know. I said, why not? You don't know how to read? She goes, no, it's in a different language. I said, so wait, he told you a book is 15,000? And he said, yeah. I said, what are you going to do with the book? She said, no, put it into my library. He said, did he tell you about Shabbat? She said, no. I said, do you keep Shabbat? She said, no. He can't tell you about tzniut? She said, no. You keep tzniut? She goes, what's tzniut? What about kashrut? Yeah, we keep kosher at home. So, unfortunately, Rabotai, sometimes people go and try to get a shortcut. They want to pay somebody, they want to go to a hocus pocus to solve all their problems. There is no hocus pocus to solve all their problems. Solving all of our problems requires toil in Torah, requires us to do the mitzvot, requires us to follow what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us that we have to make sure that we follow what the Chachamim say, we follow what the Torah says, even if we don't agree with it. And you'll see that sometimes even a Arab Muslim will come to you and tell you something that's actually from the Torah. How does he know it's from me? How does he know these things? Because they got many of the teachings they have from us. So one time somebody, Rav Ephraim, my dear Rav, his motor broke for this car that he has, and he takes it to a guy, and the guy's a Muslim. And he says to him, listen, I just got this car, less than a year ago. You're telling me that the engine's gone? He goes, yeah, you have to change it. He says, can we stop it from happening again? He goes, oh, there's no guarantee. He says, why do you think it went anyway? It's brand new. He goes, it was brand new. It's not new anymore. He said, yeah, but why not? He goes, I don't know. He says, can I get protection from it? He says, no. He goes, why do you think it happened? He says, where I come from, since we were kids, we believe it happened because somebody put an eye on you. He says, so can I get an insurance for Ayin Hara? He goes, no, for that there's no insurance. No insurance for Ayin Hara. So even the Muslims believe in Ayin Hara. Even they do. And it actually has a source in the Torah. Has a source. You have to obviously know what to do and how to deal with it, but nonetheless, you'll see it all over the place. Now, one of the things that the Gemara says in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 14 and also page 92, 14a, page 92a, says, Amar Rabbi Elazar, le'olam hevei kabel v'kayam, that a person should always stay away from sticking out, stay away from seeking attention, as if you don't exist. Be like one of those people who just goes in and out like a ghost. Why? The less attention you occupy in the world, the less people put Ayin Hara on you. Especially if you're doing well. You have a good job, you just got married, you just had a kid, you just had this, especially that. Stay away from people's attention. Of course, you have certain events, Baruch Hashem, holy events like this, people are going to sing Mazal Tov, fine. But as time passes, try to stay away from people's radar. Why? The less people talk about you, the better. Why? Because people are people. Either they have bad character traits, where they're not happy that you're happy. They're not happy that you bought. They're not happy that you sold. They're not happy that you did this. They're not happy that you did that because they're not doing the same thing. And what ends up happening is that they put an evil eye on you. So it's important to know that it's best to stay out of the attention, out of attention of people's attention as much as possible. Now, the Gemara says that if a person is doing a mitzvah, let's say he does big chesed, and he wants to tell people he did big chesed for the sake of publicizing good, maybe to encourage other people. That's based on the verse of V'gavai libo b'dvar Hashem, V'gavai libo b'dvar Hashem, to raise his heart because of for the sake of Hashem. That's allowed, and in fact, it's recommended. If you're doing a big mitzvah and you're doing a big chesed, you did something good, you want to publicize it in order to encourage other people to do the same thing, that's a big mitzvah, right? Because you're publicizing Kiddush Hashem. But if you're doing something that's like more personal, that it's better to hide. So for example, some people like to talk about their wife. Oh, listen, my wife's a big tzadikah, she reads Tehillim every single day. Bad idea. Don't tell anybody about stuff like that. Why? Because she's not reading Tehillim for the whole world. She's reading Tehillim for herself, she's reading Tehillim for her family members, and so on and so forth. It's best that you don't tell people about your own wife. But if, listen, my wife and I and my family, we did X, Y, Z, we're doing this, we're helping the community, that's stuff that's good. It's good to publicize that. Maybe you'll get more people to join you. So you have to pick and choose carefully what you publicize and what you don't. One of the things we saw that Ayin Hara affected us as a nation is Matan Torah. If you guys remember, Matan Torah was twice. First time we got it, Moshe Rabbeinu came down, saw all of us sinning. Either we were dancing with the idol or we didn't say anything about the guy that was dancing with the idol. Either way, it's a sin. Gemara says that if you see another person sin and you don't say anything, it's the same thing like you sinned yourself. So some people got punished because they were worshipping idols. Some people were punished because they didn't say anything. So Matan Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu destroyed the 10 Commandments. Then we got it again. So Chamim say, how come twice? He says, because the first one, there was all these sounds and effects and all types of things that happened. That got the attention of the whole world. The whole world put Ayin Hara on us, had to break the 10 Commandments. The second 10 Commandments came what? We were lowly, we felt like miserable, we just got punished. We almost got killed as a group. Shem Yishmor. Torah is still today, Baruch Hashem. Why? Because everybody said, yeah, they got the Torah, but they got punished too. They got Torah, they got punished. That Torah is still alive today, Baruch Hashem. Lowly, out of the attention, no one talks anything good about it, Baruch Hashem, good. Let them not say anything good. Who needs their good? Who needs their good? Why? Because they said, got in trouble, 10 Commandments broke. Last thing we'll say is that sometimes people like to brag about the wrong things, like things that they have, money and things of that nature. So a couple once went to Rav Steineman, alav shalom, and the husband said, listen, we're having shlom bayit problems. And Rav Steineman said, why? What happened? He says, my husband, he made some money and he wants to buy a fancy car. He wants to buy a Rolls Royce. So Rav Steineman doesn't exactly know what a Rolls Royce is. You just walked into his house, you felt like you were from 500 years ago and the house hasn't changed. He was a person that millions of dollars passed through his hands and he would give it directly to the Avrechim. He cared less about money, only about Torah. So somebody comes to his house and says, Rolls Royce, he has no idea what you're talking about, Rolls Royce. Okay, it's expensive car. Okay, expensive car. No. So what's the problem with him buying expensive car? He says, I don't know, I'm afraid that maybe it's going to give Ayin Hara. So Rav Steineman looks at the man. He doesn't look exactly like a big Talmid Chacham, but he understands what this person needs. So he says to him, so, sir, have you completed the Shas? This person barely knows what the Shas is. Talmud Bavli, 36 tractates. It's the foundation of our Torah. Chas v'shalom, if the Goyim ever told us, you have to pick one, the written Torah, the oral Torah, we have to pick the Gemara, we have to pick the oral Torah. Oral Torah is the foundation even more than the written Torah. Why? Because the written Torah is inside it. All the laws are inside it. If you have only the written Torah, only the 5 books of Moses, you don't know anything. You don't know how to do Brit Milah, you don't know how to do Tefillin, you don't know anything. Why? Because the written Torah doesn't explain. It says put something on your arm and on your head. Put what? Maybe I'll put Elchanan on my head. Maybe that's going to be my Tefillin. I'll put Sunny as a Brit Milah on my other head. What am I going to do with it? What is it? What do you put? So the Gemara tells us all the mitzvot. The Gemara tells you all the mitzvot. So the point is that if we had to pick, we have to pick. So Rav Steineman says to him, no, did you finish the Shas? Complete the Shas? He says, no, Kvod Rav, what's the Shas? Then he says to him, okay, did you maybe finish one Masechet? One Masechet? He says, no, I don't know, no Masechet. He says, what about one daf? One daf in the Gemara. One daf in the Gemara, you finish? He says, no, I didn't get there yet. He says, buy whatever car you want. Why buy whatever car you want? He says, no one has anything to be jealous of. You have nothing. All you have is money. You're bringing Ayin Hara on yourself. Without Torah, Rabotai Yekarim, we have nothing. So the whole goal is to, number one, know that we have to have Torah in order to protect us from Ayin Hara, and we have to use the rules of the Torah in order to protect us from Ayin Hara. Which means both of those two things have Torah as the foundation. If we have Torah, we can do anything and everything that we want in a kosher way. If we don't have Torah, it doesn't matter what we're doing. Be'ezrat Hashem, you two build an extraordinary house full of Torah, full of Kedusha, full of mitzvot, full of chesed, full of the brachot and yeshuot of the entire Torah being fulfilled in front of your eyes. And Be'ezrat Hashem, you continue influencing the public to do amazing things like what you've been doing. And Be'ezrat Hashem, each and every single one of us learns from them and to encourage the rest of Am Yisrael to do as great as what they're doing. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.